on board. But thanks for joining us today. I'm Randall Pevin. I'm the operations director here at First Choice. And over the next 45 minutes, we're going to share some information with you that'll help you understand a bit of the following: the history and success story of First Choice Business Brokers. For those who don't already know, what is a business broker? Why is this a really great time to become a business broker? How we support you as a company. We'll talk a little bit about the financial opportunity that you are faced with, why this might be the business for you in particular, and why choose FCBB, First Choice Business Brokers, of the other options out there. If being your own boss, building a legacy, creating multi-generational wealth for your family is your goal, owning a business brokerage franchise is an ideal vehicle. We have proven this over nearly 30 years. I think we're in our 28th and a half year. But to be successful, you need a proven system, a framework with an established franchise that'll give you the support to thrive. That's why at First Choice, we've got these proven systems to help all of our franchisees and operators achieve their individual goals, okay? It's an interesting time right now. So why own a business brokerage franchise now? This is really, really interesting to me, and this is and for all of us that are in the business. Now, for more than 2 decades now, the generation known as baby boomers have dominated the US economy. They were generating great wealth, earning record levels of income, and spurring economic growth. This is a very highly successful generation, and they're approaching retirement. The business owners among them plan to sell or bequeath $10 trillion in assets over the coming 2 decades. These assets are tied up in more than 12 million privately owned businesses, 12 million. Quick tidbit here, there were only 4,000 business brokers in the United States. Do the math, right? And business.com, and they provide really, really good data. They explain that 79 million individuals born between 1946 and 1964 comprise this largest generation, again, the baby boomers. This group is currently in control of hundreds of thousands of profitable businesses. Now, while many of these businesses are thriving, their owners often don't have an exit or a succession plan. Long gone are the days where you're bequeathing your business necessarily to your children. Often now the next generation wants to go out and do their own thing. We're seeing this day to day, year by year in our business. So this provides this opportunity for business brokers to come in, connecting buyers and sellers to these many, many businesses that are coming on the market, okay? Many of these owners cannot do this on their own. They need an expert to come and guide them through their selling their business to ensure they get the highest possible price, okay? Now, as this generation approaches retirement, many of these businesses are already up for sale. We see this all the time. Over 12 million businesses are expected to change hands over the next 10 to 15 years. Again, many will be transferred with their lawyers and their accountants and their CPAs. However, the smart money is on using a business broker to affect that transaction. Generally, it creates more value for the seller and creates a better opportunity for the buyer. Everything is on the table at that point. When proper planning is used, and a business broker is instrumental in this part of the transaction, when proper planning is utilized, everyone creates more value for themselves. Now, we've been doing this for nearly 30 years. The people behind First Choice Business Brokers are Jeff and Linda Nyman. They're the co-founders of First Choice Business Brokers, of course. Bear with me here. I had a small technical difficulty. Now, Jeff and Linda, thanks for joining us today. You've been in front of these audiences a time or two in your short and illustrious careers, right? Would you mind taking the helm and carrying on the conversation that we've started today?
Absolutely. Thank you, Randall. All right. So I'm Linda Nyman.
Hi, and I'm Jeff Nyman. Business brokerage is going strong. And as you heard, it doesn't appear to be letting out anytime soon. In fact, business brokerage is as close as you can get to really a recession-proof type of business.
And we felt that way for about 30 years now. We keep thinking, okay, recession, something's going to keep it from moving forward, and it just doesn't. So in the coming 2 decades, not only are we likely to see millions of successful entrepreneurs selling businesses, we're also going to see additional millions of their peers who have spent their lives working for other people buying businesses.
You know, really, there's never been a better time to become a franchise owner, First Choice Business Brokers. So in the next 2 decades, we're going to see a significant increase in the number of small and medium-sized businesses being bought and sold by this age group and other generations that have always been active in this space.
Absolutely. And there are several reasons for this. Many baby boomers, as we're hearing right now from Randall, are nearing that retirement age and are looking to cash out on their business. And you can't really blame them.
No, and others will simply want to take advantage of the currently strong selling economy.
And still others simply want to take their business to a whole different level. And that requires fresh blood and new ideas. And we really shouldn't overlook one other area, and Randall did touch on it, and it's the lack of family succession.
Yeah.
So many of today's business owners' children are not really interested in taking over the family business.
Yeah, whatever the reason, it's clear there's not going to be any shortage of business owners who are really looking to buy or sell in the coming years.
And with a small business accounting for such a large percentage of the U.S. economy, this trend is likely to have a huge impact on the country as a whole. And at First Choice, we're very, very proud of being part of that.
So let's talk a little bit about what the demand is for business brokers.
And I think that this part is always kind of interesting for people to understand. There's slightly over 30 million small businesses in the U.S., and there's only about 4,000 full-time business brokers.
And based upon a survey conducted by the Small Business Administration, at any time, 20% of those 30 million businesses are either for sale or the people who own them are interested in selling. That's 6 million business owners.
I know that's hard to believe. So again,
Yeah,
I'm going to
it
repeat
is.
that one.
Yeah.
6 million business owners interested in selling their business, and only about 4,000 of us doing this full time in the U.S. That's a big number.
Well, let's give a comparison. There's, for example, in Las Vegas, there's 23,000 residential real estate agents just in the city, and there's over 500,000 real estate agents in California. And once again,
There's only about 4,000 business brokers in the entire country.
so every business you drive by is a potential seller. I always say I feel that we're in a non-competitive profession.
We are, and I think to me, and I guess I'm touchy-feely about it, I just feel like the business owner is an underserved person out there, right? And they are the backbone of America, and they need help from a business broker. And I feel personally, while Jeff feels, it's an non-competitive industry, I feel like it's virtually untapped. There's just so many people that don't really know what a business broker is. And I think that that's a big part of our educational process with the public.
It definitely is.
So Randall, we'll kind of turn it back to you to talk a little bit more about business brokerage in general.
Sure, happy to do that. Thanks again, Jeff and Linda. No matter how many times I've heard you go through that, I always learn a little bit every single time. But so thanks again. So we're a franchisor, and we've built our system, and it is designed to help our franchisees win. We are a reseller of many types of business, including franchises. So we often see other franchised organizations. We often see that their lack of training is very, very apparent. We often see that their lack of support is very apparent. This really drives everything we do when it comes to supporting our entire group of owners, operators, multi-unit operators, single unit operators, area representatives. We just don't poke in the dark hoping for success. Over decades, we have built these systems to support you. It's really, really a real differentiator for us. We fully understand that a potential franchisee, many of you may not feel that they have the background, the knowledge, the training, the experience, even to successfully run a business brokerage franchise. We can remove that doubt for you. We constantly bring people on board. Look, we'll bring people on that have been a business broker for 20 years. We'll also bring someone on board who is just learning what a business broker is. It is truly our systems, processes, our marketing, the dedication to training, ongoing training, and again, the founders who are on a daily basis dedicated to making everyone success.
I feel like, Randall, it's probably a good idea to even say that it's sometimes when we have people come on that have done business brokerage or have been part of a franchise of some sort, they'll say, I didn't know what I didn't know. They literally, after they go through training, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so often when you hear people talk about franchises as a business broker, we hear often you see your franchisor twice. Once when they sell you the franchise and once when you're leaving or selling your franchise. And that's it. And we're so opposite of that.
And the reason is because we are a boots on the ground company.
Yeah.
We are business brokers. We're not just a franchise that happens to be a business broker. We happen to be a business broker who happens to be a franchise. And so
right.
we're there day to day. We know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I can validate from the perspective that I'm kind of on the front lines dealing with and supporting the newer operators and owners that join us. And they're constantly, even those that have been business brokers for years, are constantly saying, well, wow, you do this, you provide this. It's really a validation of what the Nymans have done over the years. So over the past decade or more, we've really understood that franchisees and existing business brokers don't want to spend their time and money developing their own systems. That's the value of a franchise, right? And this is particularly important when you want to grow your business by bringing on agents and training them. It is critically important to any of you who are considering joining us that we understand that having these proven systems in place will allow you to scale your business and increase the value of your business. That is really the point behind everything we do. Right now, we have close to 70 locations. I know the slide says 60 plus, but in about the 10 days since we've been building this presentation, we've gone from 60 plus to nearly 70. That's kind of the rate at which we're growing. And hopefully many of you will be part of that growth. We're in 28 states now. So we are looking to really cover the rest of the country. We have multi-operators in certain states, right? So you're not going to get a state. You can be within the system, within the state of your residence or your choosing. But every single one of these locations attribute their success as brokers to the systems that we've put in place. Okay. Now, in fact, we've developed an entire curriculum. That curriculum is known as First Choice University. Okay. This slide kind of gives a bit of an overview of how you're expected to go through the process. Linda, would you like to chat a little bit about how First Choice University takes someone through from day one through ongoing education?
Absolutely. So when somebody joins First Choice, when they're coming into the company, whether as an agent or as a new office, they're going to have on-demand courses. So I always joke about it. You can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning with your fuzzy bunny slippers on and be getting through those courses. And you're able to do it on demand so you can work at your own pace. It gives you an opportunity to say, wait, I want to hear that again, and back up a little bit and move forward. And that makes it a lot easier. And what we're going to be doing through those courses is introducing you to all the forms and the processes. And then part of that training as well is going into the live sessions. And the live sessions will take you into being able to talk with everyone in the First Choice University at the same time. We get on a meeting similar to this, and we're working then to work on case studies. So you will have done market price analysis, which is valuations on businesses. You will have an opportunity to fill in listing agreements and specific forms that we use quite often. So you're going from on-demand courses, giving you the foundation, to another 7 days of live training. So now you have that combination of on-demand and live training. And then we go on from there to provide monthly brainstorming webinars, which are on very, very specific subjects. And those are usually about an hour. And we've been doing those for years. We have close to 170 of those in our bank of First Choice University. So if there was a specific subject you wanted to look at, you could simply go in and search it and pull up some of our past brainstorming webinars as well. And then as well as that, our owners get together once a month, and we also kind of talk about hot topics or maybe recruiting or whatever might be necessary at that time.
Thank you, Linda, very much. You know, it's also worth noting that after you complete your initial training, we have hundreds of hours of ongoing video training. We have mountains of written content cataloged and available for ongoing education for you, for your future agents. Quick point here, our next scheduled training is November 7th, okay? And that's right around the corner. That doesn't mean you can't start a little bit sooner or immediately thereafter, but to hit that date of November 7th, we're coming up on that now. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's worth saying as well, Randall, is that on-demand starts immediately, and then the live training that starts on November 7th is the live portion of the training.
The live portion, exactly. So, you know, the business itself, you know, it's hard work. It takes diligence and motivation and systems and a team like the one we've assembled for you. But through all of that, we famously set up systems where you can achieve a work and life balance, right? And that's the name of the game for many of our operators, right? We've enabled our franchisees to create wealth at their own pace. You can create your schedule. You can work whenever and wherever you want. This really can provide a more desirable balance in your life, sort of to reach the financial goals while still spending quality time with loved ones. The Boussaid family is probably going to elaborate on that. They're panelists here and they're franchisees. We'll allow them to elaborate that a little bit later. We could have used their photo on this particular slide, but they weren't available for the photo shoot. So how does everyone how do we achieve these goals, right? How do we generate revenue? Jeff and Linda, would you be kind enough to get into the revenue generation portion of the presentation?
Absolutely, sure. So a few years ago, the International Business Brokers Association, they conducted a survey, and they found that business brokers charge between 10 to 20% of the purchase price of a business as their fee, also with a minimum fee of between $10,000 and $20,000.
So at First Choice, we charge a 15% fee or 15,000, whichever is greater. So that would be of the transacted value.
Yeah, so that means even if we sell a very small business under $100,000, we still receive the minimum fee of 15,000.
Even, you know, really, even if it's 50,000, we're
Yeah.
still getting a fee of 15,000 because that's our minimum. So let's take a look at the different revenue sources, because I think that kind of makes it a little clearer for people to understand there.
Sure. As an example, let's take a $600,000 transaction. And the fee on that would be $90,000.
Okay.
So in addition to that, if we'd referred the buyer to one of our business acquisition specialty lenders, we'd also receive a referral fee of typically 1% of the loan amount.
Yeah, so you know, and those lenders that we work with are not your lenders that are, you know, at the end of your road that you're depositing money with. These are business acquisition specialty lenders. We work with them and they work on a national basis. So our basis of our group of vendors that we work with is really strong, and they understand how First Choice works. And I think our agents are highly sought after because of the way that we go about our business. The vendors and the bankers in particular really like to work with First Choice.
So you would have a success fee and a lender fee, but that's not all. If a buyer is using their retirement funds to purchase the business, or even for their down payment, we then receive a referral fee of typically between $1,000 to $2,000. And lastly, if there's a new lease or real estate included in the transaction, a fee can also be charged for that. However, you do need to hold a real estate license to collect that.
And I think the best part is all of that can be combined. So you can have your success fee, which of course, that's really the largest fee, and that's the fee we care about the most. But you can also have a lender fee, and you can have that retirement money referral fee as well coming in. And be thinking about that. People's retirement funds that they use to purchase a business or use to purchase a franchise, it's their own money. It's in a bank account. So that can be a down payment. It doesn't necessarily have to be that is the entire purchase price. They might use their retirement rollover funds for the down payment taken on a business, which allows them to buy a much larger business in most cases. And what people are buying is income, right? So they're using their retirement funds. And because we as a company embrace this, we work with those individuals that want to do that. So they use their retirement rollover, they can purchase the business with that. And they, of course, for us as the business broker, if we hold a real estate license, we can also receive fees on that.
So really, this is where we get our revenue from. Randall, leave it up to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That pretty much covers it. I'm going to jump to the next point, and it's from revenue to, perhaps you could call it, expenses, right? We want to understand that this is a scalable business, right? There is no special equipment required. There's no inventory. There's no build out. You're not buying into a franchise where they say, give us these dollars to become a franchisee. Oh, and you need another 500,000 to build out your building and staff and open the accounting department and a bank of computers. It's not the case. You can start really as an individual, and many of our franchisees do, and then you can grow your business that way. Cost should not deter you from owning a first choice business broker franchise. That's one of the main reasons why we are a franchise with a huge difference. You can grow at your own pace, right? Again, no employees, minimal infrastructure, scalable business model. When you bring agents on, they are commission only, right? And we still provide all of the training and support to them and to you throughout this process. So you don't even have massive overheads relative to the education of your staff, of your team. Now, you've seen the model that Jeff and Linda exposed to a certain extent. On average, new franchisees do between 6 and 12 deals per year after the first year, and they build their business from there, okay? Perhaps the ultimate scalability is the concept of going from a single unit to perhaps a multi-unit operator, and even to an area rep at a certain point where you can own an entire region, and together we develop that region, okay? Again, scalability. Beg your pardon?
Oh, I was going to say, when you talk about the fact that there are no real employees and all of that, it really is important to hit that point home, because I think that a lot of people feel like, oh, if I bring on business brokers, I'm going to have some expense associated with that. You're bringing them on as commission-only agents, and it is really great to be able to bring on those individuals as soon as you can, because I believe that it builds synergy almost immediately. We do have some of our business broker franchisees come on with agents, people that they've worked with potentially for years, that they're bringing along on the journey. And
yeah, I also want to add that, before we were talking about a lifestyle, business brokerage is really a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type of business. Our offices are usually not open evenings or weekends or holidays, and we're not driving people around. So it's really, you work at your pace.
Yeah, you do. And you work as hard as you want to work. I mean, we do have some agents, we don't want to give pie in the sky numbers. So you've got average agents, and then you've got agents that say, I'm going to really hit it hard for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And they're putting down 30, 40 deals. So it depends on how hard somebody wants to work and how they manage their time. Everybody's idea of success and version of success is very personal to them. It's their vision at that point.
Very much so. And thanks again. Once you come on board, one of the key areas of success is marketing. How do you market? Now, I'm going to introduce an individual by the name of Grant Gooley. You can see him on the screen with the dashing white shirt on, looking lovely today as usual, Grant. Thank you very much. Grant is an industry expert. He's actually one of our partners, a premier partner, if you will. And a growing number of our franchisees are working with Grant. So I'm going to hand it over to Grant. He's going to tell us all about the cutting edge of new marketing and how we still employ traditional marketing strategies for what is largely a traditional business. Here you go, Grant.
Thank you so much, Randall. Appreciate that intro. Yes, and I did put on this white shirt for you.
Sincerely appreciated that.
Yeah, with any successful business comes strong process. I think it's been made very clear on the call today, but especially when it comes to marketing. And many of the best business owners that I get to work with tend to leave marketing as the last priority. And you know, what that leaves is empty pipelines in time, though. It's not always right away, but eventually that happens. And then we're left wondering why. And what happens is we turn the gears on at that point, and we say, okay, we better do marketing, but it's sometimes too late at that point. First Choice is very different. They've done an amazing job overall in building a marketing machine over many years, and now staying on the cutting edge with a lot of the digital side that I get to be involved in. And these systems and processes are built to ensure that the franchise grows. And so that the franchisees have an opportunity to grow, leaving not much to chance, which is critical in marketing. And today, you know, in marketing, using technology such as digital channels, we have opportunities to connect with prospects from a one-to-many system that wasn't available to us before. And that includes things like LinkedIn outreach. What a channel. You know, webinars, videos, ebook, white papers, as you like to call them, Randall, email campaigns, Google, Facebook, Instagram ads. These digital concepts are a one-to-many, meaning that we can capture thousands of people instead of just a meeting with a few. So I want to talk just quickly about each of the items and how we kind of implement the marketing into some of these systems. So LinkedIn, as we mentioned, it provides an opportunity to consistently outreach to business owners on an ongoing basis, connecting with thousands of business owners on an ongoing basis, and offering value through white papers. Great strategy. Opt-in strategy. Instead of push marketing, it's pull, right? So we're giving value, which, you know, has the prospect coming back asking questions. That's when we know we can start to speak to them about selling their business or buying a business that we potentially have on our listings. Paid media, Google ads, right? People are looking to sell their business, and they tend to start their journey online, what we're seeing, which is how-tos, you know, how to prepare to sell my business. Well, guess what? First Choice business brokers, franchisees are right there intercepting using Google ads, Facebook ads, brand awareness, right? So, you know, the email marketing is another component, consistent follow-up to the right audiences at the right time. We say this often, the right audience at the right time. So when we deploy this truly omni-channel approach to marketing, we give the franchisees an opportunity to grow and to not leave that to chance. So with that, you know, I want to say thank you, Randall, for having me, and team for having me here today. I appreciate it. And I look forward to meeting.
Thanks a million for coming on board. I'm going to provide a bit of an anecdotal story to finish this marketing piece. We have a relatively new franchisee, didn't know what to do, where to start. So he started knocking on doors, right? And he literally went door to door in his local community. And I wouldn't say that he was frustrated with the progress and the pace. And all of a sudden he had a handful of listings. He wasn't even sure where they came from. So I said, oh, I know what you've done. You've done the old shaking hands and kissing babies trick. And lo and behold, that's what worked for him. And again, he's a relatively new guy and hadn't really got marketing going. So traditional marketing cannot be overlooked within your community, among your colleagues, all of the contacts you've developed over the years. So a combination of the new stuff, right, that the Grants of the world can cook up for all of us, and the old kissing babies routine does some remarkable things as well.
It does. It really makes a difference. And I think, you know, it's marrying or bridging the gap, if you will, with our legacy sellers, our business owners that are older, that aren't on social media, and they aren't in all of these areas, Facebook and so on, but they are checking their mailbox. They are, you know, answering the phone. And you might think, oh no, that doesn't exist out there anymore. So we need to hit those legacy sellers, but we need to find the buyers for those businesses by some of these other methods that we have out here with Grant. And I feel like it's bridging the gap between the age groups and also making the matches.
Yeah, I would agree that we have such a variety of business owners that we deal with. We have those that are just entering the market, the 30, 40, 50-year-olds. But we also have people who have been in their business for many years, and they still have the yellow page book on their desk. They still do.
It happens.
That's
And I think
remarkable.
that that's what we're trying to cover here.
Yeah, yeah. I think the point is well made with the yellow book analogy. Exactly. Guys, I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit. You know, we clearly are in the game to create revenue and create wealth for ourselves and for our families. But we get a bit more out of it than just that. So I'm gonna touch on that, and then we're gonna have a bit of a Q&A session. We've had some questions already coming in, so we'll address those, and then we'll conclude, and you'll be on your way, and we'll explain to you how you can connect with us beyond today to get in the pipeline to the next steps. Okay, so to that end, we want to talk a little bit about personal and professional fulfillment, right? It's not always about the dollars, is it? Now, that is a driving force to any business. But I'm sure of all the people, the Nymans will be able to tell us, after I've gone through a little piece of this myself, how they have achieved personal and professional fulfillment by the relationships they've built over the years and the relationships that they've maintained. They'll bring a person in. They always say sellers are buyers and buyers are sellers, right? And that, or maybe it's the other way around, right? It's very possible. But in any event, we are touching people here. Owning a First Choice Business Brokers franchise means you get to work with business owners. You're helping them exit. You're helping them often retire, while helping new business owners start the next chapter in their business lives. So the sun is setting and the sun is rising on the very same business. And you are sort of mediators, if you will. You're helping pass the torch from that one to another. This is an incredible source of personal fulfillment. We have found this to be true. It does not trump all of the revenue opportunities that we have, right? But it's the warm, fuzzy feeling that many careers don't offer. Okay.
It gets you up in the morning.
It gets you up in the morning, right? Job satisfaction is real,
Yes.
right? It's a key element in this particular business. Right. So I think I've made that point, right? I've made that point that the balance of life is really important. Now I'm going to put Andrea and Mo Bousset on the spot, because they famously have achieved great work-life balance. I hope it's not too much on the spot. Would you guys care to elaborate on that particular subject matter?
Sure. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Andrea and Mo.
Before I dig into that, the personal and professional fulfillment is key, because we do see a lot of business owners sell and become millionaires. And that is very rewarding to know that we're allowing them to achieve those goals. So that is some great personal fulfillment.
And that's a lifelong relationship that you actually end up making whenever you are helping to, deliver millions to someone and help them to achieve their goals. That's a relationship you have forever.
And then back to our lifestyle, it's amazing because, this is a business that you need to be there when they need you. It's guiding them throughout the process and overcoming the hurdles and bringing the solutions to the table. But that can often be as simple as jumping on a Zoom or scheduling a quick meeting. And thank God that can be done from anywhere in the world these days.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you both. Now, Brandon, I'm going to really put you on the spot because I didn't give you any fair warning, right? But we hear your quick draw here, right? I think you're going to do fine. So I heard from a pretty reliable source that this endeavor has proven to be pretty successful for you. Could you let us know why you even decided to join us, and perhaps elaborate to the extent that you'd like on how successful it's been for you?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine, thanks.
All right, good. All right. So I actually had a broker. I was looking to buy a business, and that's how I discovered First Choice. I had a broker in the area, Southwest Ohio area, that kind of disappointed me, let me down a little bit. And I remember I had the epiphany. I thought, well, wow, there's just not a lot of those guys around. And I realized that he didn't have a lot of competition. And the thought dawned on me, if I could just do this and be a little bit better than him or her, my God, what could I do? And so that's what led me to First Choice. I elected to go with First Choice just because the training aspect of it seemed to be so much better than our competitors. And I think that that has proven to be true. And as far as my success has gone, I just have an anecdotal story to kind of go along with the work balance thing. 2 weeks ago, I was in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I don't live in Rapid City, South Dakota. And we closed a $3 million+ deal here in the Southwest Ohio area. So I wasn't even in town to close that one. Just to give you an idea that you don't necessarily have to be Johnny on the spot in order to make the money.
I love that.
And for those of you that remembered the equations that Jeff and Linda talked about, you can kind of do your own math there. It can be a wildly successful endeavor for folks, and we have particularly a few new offices that are a little bit even surprised. They themselves are surprised with what's happened in their life very, very recently, right? And we hope to provide the level of support to everyone so that everyone can feel that level of success. Okay, you can rely on that, and for us making our best efforts to do that. Okay. Now, so I think we are going to move to a few questions. And I am going to need a little bit of an assist from someone on my team, because the questions are not appearing here on my screen that we had collected earlier. Is Felicia there to perhaps send through the chat box to me a question or two?
Yes, I'll send them to you right away.
All right, thank you. You're going to do that on chat, I presume.
Yes.
Okay.
While we're doing that, Brandon had brought it up, but I thought it was kind of interesting, Andrea and Mo, your situation with coming into business brokerage and how you kind of entered into the industry. I always think it's pretty amazing when you have a couple that supports each other to the extent that Andrea and Mo have done in their careers. Andrea, you kind of came in first and Mo followed you. Do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Sure. So, I mean, when I found business brokerage, I had a full-time job with a publicly traded company, and I was doing really well. I had just been awarded MVP for the company in sales, and it was trying to make that jump into business brokerage. And finally, we got, I think it was $1.8 million transaction into escrow, and we got that deal closed. And I was able to make the jump into business brokerage, and I was leaving, $100,000 a year plus salary with that job. And ever since then, we've never looked back. I was able to easily make that money, and it's been fantastic ever since then.
And I want to jump in and say that Andrea and Mo have been having tremendous years. And
I know we no longer say six figures, we say seven.
And all of that is without a Harvard education, might I add.
yeah.
Exactly. Guys, the questions have started to come in.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and jump into some of those questions, and I think some of the panelists can answer. I might direct to a panelist if I see that the question's appropriate for one or the other. Chantel from Maryland is asking, what types of businesses do you typically sell? Anyone want to take that? Linda, Jeff, you've seen them all, right? I bet the answer is going to be all of the businesses.
Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah. I large, small, we really do a lot of different types of businesses. So manufacturing, medical, dental practices, CPA practices, your local businesses as well.
Yeah, bars, restaurants, gas stations, auto repair shops, hair salons, print shops, furniture stores. Literally, it's as I said earlier, every business that you drive by is a potential client.
Well, and Andrea and Mo, I mean, some of what you've done, mental health facilities. I mean,
we definitely have done the gamut. And actually, what Jeff just mentioned about driving by, Mo has a feel where he'll be like, I need to go in there. And we really do keep our finger on the pulse on the local businesses as much as we can. And we dive into every different type of industry.
And that's a great feeling too, being able to drive down the road and potentially look at all of your potential customers and know that they're not getting visited by anyone. And you're probably going to be the first business broker they've ever spoken to.
And the thing that's interesting about the different types of business is whatever type of business you dabble in to begin with, you become the expert. And the next thing you know, you've got 15 of that type of business. And before you know it, you are the expert. You know exactly what to ask and and what hurdles may be coming. So it's definitely something that you don't want to be a master of just one. You definitely want to be open to all types.
Yeah, at First Choice, we really don't specialize in one type of business.
Mm-hmm.
We really will work across the whole gamut of different businesses. That way, whether it's a recession or whatever's going on, we still do business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some people, when they get into business brokerage, they look at their past experiences and they say, oh, I feel most comfortable talking to manufacturing, so I'm going to work in that area. But then it starts to expand to restaurants and automotive and fast food restaurants. And you start to see all of these different opportunities. And business owners know business owners. So your referrals will often come from other business owners. And I think that opens up the different type of inventory that you have as an agent as well, just by virtue of the referrals that you receive.
Thank you very much. Brian from Denver is asking an interesting question. He wants Brandon to tell us what is the most interesting listing that he has closed. Anything unique out there in your area, Brandon?
Yeah, it was it wasn't a lot of money, but it was in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and I can say the name because it's publicly known. Ha Ha Pizza in Yellow Springs, Ohio happens to be Dave Chappelle's favorite pizza place. And he's notoriously, Dave Chappelle is the famous resident from Yellow Springs, Ohio. So I have it's kind of cool when you go around and you meet other restaurant or business owners and they ask you, this comes up in conversation and you say, I remember I told somebody just recently, well, I'm the one that sold Ha Ha Pizza. And they went, that was you. And believe it or not, that was known all throughout Southwest Ohio that it had sold. So it was kind of neat.
Your claim to fame. Who'd have thought that, right? Who would have thought that'd have been your claim to fame?
I didn't see that one coming at all. Yeah.
We have a bunch of questions that have come in, so we don't want to take too much time from folks out there. So I'm going to try to get through these. What kind of support will be provided to the franchisees? That's been directed to Jeff and Linda directly from Dan in Irvine, California, I presume.
Okay.
Well, first of all, support is not just going through our training program, going through our live webinar reviews, but also as an owner, it's all one-to-one. We have a lot of support. I know a lot of franchises say the word support, and that's about it. Ours is more than just saying the word support. We're there to help you, we have people who are dedicated to helping you put a deal together, answer questions from your buyers or the sellers. We're there to help you because we know if we don't, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and it is a two-way street there, right? We're communicating constantly. We want to understand what the offices need, what questions do they have, and it's kind of a little bit of a joke among the owners because I tease about there's a form for that, right? There's an app for that. There are so many different scenarios that have come up in the last close to 30 years that we have forms and we have questionnaires and we have basically training on all of those different aspects. So if a question comes up, we have people in support that can help with that. And I think that's something that you don't hear out there very often, and we touched on earlier, is what's the difference between, First Choice and other brokerages. First Choice is a business brokerage that happens to franchise. We are in the business of business brokerage. So when you take your first listing, you're actually sharing that listing with corporate and saying, okay, review this and let us know, how did we do? What did we miss? Initials are here and there. What have we done right? What have we done wrong? This is training, and we consider it knowledge when you need it. So when you have a new listing come in, we're going to be reviewing that and supporting you by letting you know, here's what we recommend, or this is what you can be working on. And I think it's important to think about it from that aspect, is that we're there working with you, and our offices work together as well. You know, we might be doing a deal with one of the offices in California or New York or wherever, and we could be representing a buyer and they could be representing the seller. These things happen all the time.
Thank you very much.
You answered that question.
Yep, thank you very much. I think you could pretty much state that everybody who works on the corporate team is part of the support team, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And it probably
Absolutely.
extends to most of our franchisees and partners, right? We're all in that game, aren't we? A bunch of questions have come in, so I'm going to jump in. What are the First Choice Business Brokerage marketing strategies? I'll take a bit of that. So we touched on that during the presentation, and it's really a blend of traditional marketing. We have programs where we use email marketing. We'll even do physical mailers. Think of that, physical mailers. Some people think that that's gone, but people, especially of the generation that might be ready to retire, they hold on to these pieces of paper. They put them on the refrigerator behind a magnet, right? So they're going to refer to that piece, that asset, if you will, that we've mailed to their homes, maybe in a year's time, maybe 6 months' time. So I have to stress, we provide support on the traditional side of marketing, things that have been successful for 20 or 30 years. But we are clearly in the game on social media marketing, LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, even TikTok and newer platforms. We really cover the gamut. And when we don't provide those services in-house, we bring in partners like Grant and others. So rest assured, we cover A to Z, the marketing pieces, and we support the franchise. Part of my job is to be the advocate for a franchisee. For example, if we have a franchisee in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and they're maybe engaged with a marketing company in their local community, they will often bring me along virtually, if you will, where I am their advocate. I am helping them to make an assessment of this marketing program or this technique, providing the best advice that we can, essentially guiding them to the level of success that they're looking for, to get the ROI they're looking for. Another question: who makes the best agents? Is there a best agent, Linda and Jeff? Is there a model? I'm not so sure. No.
You know,
I would say not. Our agents come from such varied backgrounds. You heard Mo working for a stock exchange company, where we have a gentleman who was a 747 pilot. We have another gentleman who's a geologist. So our owners and our agents have come from such wide and varied backgrounds.
Andrea, Mo, do you have comment on that? Looks like Andrea.
I would say we definitely try to bring people into our team that are tenacious, people that are aggressive and hungry and not scared of their own shadow.
As long as they're willing to go out and shake hands and have the tough conversations, they meet our mold.
Yeah.
I was recently asked by a franchisee if we use personality tests, and I say, yes, we do. If they have a personality, they pass the test.
That's it.
You know,
That's a true story.
It is a fair question, though. It is a really fair question, because I would be asking that, like, you know, what makes a great business broker? And I sometimes say that the gray hair is not a bad thing in this business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people expect you. There you go. Yeah, they expect you to, you know, have had experience to be a business broker, but then you need younger business brokers that are able to deal with that generation. And it's the personality type that has the ability to listen and apply. And as Andrea said, have the tough conversation. And, you know, when we talk about aggressive, you know, to Mo's point, we're not talking about hardcore sales. We're talking about somebody that will stay on top of the process to keep it moving forward, to get that ball moving down the court. It's really important. And previous business owners actually make really great business brokers.
And we have all kinds, don't we? We really do. How does we're being asked a question, which I think is a good question. Any potential recession, how does that affect us as brokers or for offices? It's probably a good thing, right?
Well, during the recession, 2009 and onwards, we still sold a lot of businesses. We just sold them at much lower prices. People just wanted to get off the lease. Sometimes we'd sell a business for $15,000 and just so the person would get off the lease. and there were plenty of buyers looking for those bargains. Guess what? During COVID, we had similar situations where people who'd been through the recession said, I don't want to do this anymore, sell the business. And many of those same buyers back from 2009 still came around looking for bargains. So whether it's a recession or COVID, we still do very well. We do very well. When real estate goes up, we stay level. When real estate goes down, we stay level. So I would say we're pretty close to being recession proof.
And it's interesting because we get that question a lot, even from agents. You know, when you're interviewing agents and they're coming on board with your offices, you'll get that question. And, you know, at the time in 2008, 9, 10, you know, around that time, we were almost embarrassed at the time to say it was one of our best years ever,
Yeah,
you know, because you see these business owners coming in saying, oh, wow, it's really rough. But there are always people out there with cash looking for the deal. They know it's just a cycle. And it doesn't matter if it's real estate or businesses, that is basically where it's at.
I would like to
Thank
add
you
too,
very
I
much.
think that most business owners have been experiencing burnout, especially after COVID. And I think with a recession looming, it's only going to further accelerate them jumping off the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Very,
almost
very good
like,
point.
you know, Mo, you're right, because it's almost like people say, oh, I lived through that already. I just don't want to go through it again. You know, it's okay. One of the things that we talk about a lot in training is giving people permission to be burned out, giving people permission to move on. Because as entrepreneurs, I think a lot of people feel, well, gosh, I'm successful. I can't possibly get out of this business. But the reality of it is they want to. They could be making, and we do have right now, we're working with people in Las Vegas. I'm making 2 million a year. I'm making 5 million a year. And they're selling their businesses. And you're thinking, wow, they're doing so well.
Well, they have the
Life is
opportunity
They're ready to move on in life.
they
Yeah.
have the
So
opportunity
it's-
to make 4 years worth or 5 years worth of their income in one go. So
We're seeing a lot of what we've been calling burnout society as well. Just people really trying to decide what makes them happy in life. And I've been running an automotive business for 20 years and I hate cars. It's really interesting to see the shift of life. And, you know, during some of the hard times, we see a lot of people give up and be willing to take whatever number for their business. And we see a shift of people looking to take it into their own destiny and really take it to the next level. We're seeing a lot of younger generations looking to implement some technology and really take the businesses to the next level that these baby boomers have had, you know, very established for the last 20 or 30 years. So there's a lot of money to be made out there. And when things are hard and economic difficulties bring a situation of opportunity for us.
Definitely. Well put.
Well said. Well said. We have a handful more questions. You know, we're constantly focusing on finding listings, but questions come in. Brandon, how do we find buyers? How do you find buyers? How do you match buyers to the listings that you work so hard to get in your inventory?
The easiest way to answer that is the buyers will find you. That's the beauty of this business. And I remember when I went through training, Jeff had mentioned that several times. The buyers will find you. Another one that Jeff had said that turned out to be true, and Jeff, you owe me $20 for saying this. So is that he told me, and I'll never forget it. He goes, you'll get to the point where you actually know who the buyer of your business, your new listing is before you even list it. The one that we just closed when I was in Rapid City it met that mold. I literally had talked to the guy 3 months before I took the listing, but I knew that it was in the pipeline. And I threw it out there as a teaser. And I said, I do have one coming that fits your mold perfectly. And I didn't tell the seller that. I just said, hey, list it. And I'll work really hard to find this buyer for you. I knew who the buyer was, and he's the one that bought the business. So once you've been doing it for a little while, the buyers find you first. That's the first answer. But then you've been doing this for 6 to 12 months, you've got so many buyers' names, contact information. It's so much easier to find a buyer if you've got a decent listing. And I'll be the first one to tell you, if you've got a terrible listing, it won't sell. The market will just tell you that it won't sell. But if you've got a decent listing, trust me, the buyers will find you. They'll beat your door down.
They will.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And I've
Get
heard
you
that a time or
$20.
two from other offices as well. The buyers find you. Very well said. Everett wants to know if anyone needs a real estate license. I guess that would vary from state to state, wouldn't it?
It
Yeah.
does. It does vary from state to state. There's about 16 states that require licenses. You know, some of the large, Arizona.
California, Nevada, Arizona, Florida, I think Michigan, I'm not sure if Michigan needs a
Georgia.
license. Georgia now needs a license.
Washington State.
Yeah, Washington and Oregon, definitely.
Mhm.
New York, no. Texas, no. Alabama, no. Most of the southern states, no. And a handful of the northern states do require a real estate license. However, it's the same license that a real estate agent has, but we don't sell houses. There's no need to compete with those. For example, in Las Vegas, 23,000 real
Yeah,
estate agents.
you're
No
getting your
need.
license because you need to have it in those particular states, but it is not, it's not something you'll apply very often. It is nice though, even if you're in a non-licensed state, in other words, you don't have to be licensed to sell businesses, we would kind of recommend getting a license or having someone in your office with a license to sell real estate, because there are times that you don't want to leave money on the table, right?
It
You
is
know,
money on the table.
yeah, you might have a commercial piece of property included in the sale.
Yeah,
I'll
we-
just
we
add
had
to
a-
I'll just add to what Linda said there. Just this last year alone, my wife is a vice president at a bank. I made more money in real estate this last year, accidental real estate, selling real estate with the businesses, than she did as a salary. So I think, as a recommendation, if you're thinking about getting into this business, spend the first 6 months learning this business, and then after that, think about getting a real estate license and do it quickly, because it definitely helps putting those extra points on the table.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. It's just something that it's hard to leave money on the table. But we do have a method. So as Brandon says, you get into business brokerage, you're getting the ball rolling with that. You can get a license at a later date. And there are ways that you can work with commercial brokers as well. And we have a lot of that actually in place.
Perfect. Someone's asked a question that they're nameless, and I'm going to read their question directly because it relates to real estate agents. I know a lot of real estate agents. Is there any conflict or problem offering them referral fees, or should they just become an agent within my franchise and do real estate on the side? Did I keep that all together correctly?
Yeah,
Right.
Maybe that's a good one for Andrea Mo.
Yeah, perhaps. Is that?
We spend a lot of time, building those referral relationships. We probably spend as much time marketing to sellers as we do marketing to realtors for referrals. But at the same time, we have had experience with realtors coming onto our team. And I think it definitely takes a special someone. If they're used to doing real estate, residential, it can be adjustment getting into business transactions. So maybe it would be best just to keep them as a referral source.
But they are a great referral source. So if you know a lot of real estate agents, it's really great to refer business back and forth. And they are quite grateful when they get our chunk of change.
Yeah, often
Commercial
our referral
realtors
fees- Yeah, yes.
specifically.
Commercial is great as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Commercial
And then-
realtors specifically are a great referral source.
yes.
Yeah.
One of our newest franchisees is working closely with some lifelong commercial agent friends of his, and they're giving him deals because they don't want to deal with the business. They often want to deal with the physical property, right? But if this guy's, been selling bagels for 30 years and there's value there, these commercial agents they're just not set up for it. So our franchisee is benefiting from those relationships with commercial agents.
We can also get more commission than the commercial real estate agents do. So our referral fee might be worth more than they would have been paid if they would have been involved anyway.
And a lot of times there's legality issues with dabbling into things that they're not so familiar with. So it's great for us. We feel the same way. We very much like to stay in our own lane, and we'll typically refer business back to them when it's outside of our wheelhouse.
And to the point that Brandon and Andrea Mo are making with that is that we don't go after commercial real estate as a separate listing. If it's part of the business, if the automotive shop or the manufacturing company is situated on a piece of property that the seller owns, great, it's included and we'll put that deal together. But we're not going after that commercial building listing. We're not going after lease listings. So that referral business is great. And those commercial brokers and those residential agents that are out there, they respect that we stay in our lane and they know that we're going to be making referrals to them. We just have a lot better chance getting referrals from them. There's a lot more coming our direction.
Fantastic. We have two great questions to finish this section off, and then we'll conclude. The first of the two is can you speak to the main differences between First Choice and some of your competitors, such as Transworld? And I'm going to give you the second question already, because it almost sounds like we've planted this one, but I promise you we didn't. And it says, what are the next steps? So if we're going to plant a question, it's going to be that one, but cross my heart, we didn't do it.
Good
So
thing we're concluding with that, Randall.
But it's food for thought for the next time, right?
Yeah.
So thank you to whoever you are out there. But to speak to the main differences between First Choice and some of our competitors, such as Transworld.
I know that Andrea Moe and probably Brendan as well go up against, so and probably understand that also from not only a franchise owner perspective, agent perspective, but also on a personal level. Can you speak to that?
Well, we have some insider knowledge on this one. We actually had some experiences with some other business brokerages before we got involved with First Choice Business Brokerage. And the number one difference for us was the support. We have come from completely different industries and we had a lot to learn. And whatever we needed to learn, because you'll find that you're constantly in a different part of the process, whatever we needed to learn, all the knowledge was available to us. The videos are irreplaceable. We use them all the time for new agents coming on, trying to be an expert in a certain area that they need to work on. They can go and find that video. So the support, the knowledge, and it's very much like a family here. I mean, when you find somebody who is much like you can meet with them and speak with them about different things that you're struggling with. And we're constantly always offering solutions or things that have worked for us in the past.
Great. Yeah, and I mean, from how we operate as a company, there are really distinct differences in terms of how each individual office will take on how we train and implement it. But even just down to the way that we present businesses to interested buyers and how we protect the confidentiality is a huge difference between us and other companies. Again, to Jeff's point earlier, we are a boots on the ground business brokerage. We're not one of 5 different franchises that you might be able to buy from First Choice. We are the franchise.
I think a big difference is many years ago, we used to bring our franchisees and our agents into our offices and we'd spend 5 days indoctrinating them. By about the end of the 3rd day, we would see eyes just rolling. And we realized that this was not the way to train people. That's when we sort of eliminated that particular procedure and decided to do everything online. People who are joining First Choice can do it at their own leisure time and with no pressure. And we found out the retention is better. Plus, you can always go back. So we're not going to invite you to come to Las Vegas and spend 5 days in our offices. We're going to say, go through our First Choice University. And if you don't understand something, you can watch it over and over again.
Well, but more importantly, I think the live reviews are what people feel really confident with, is because they get to ask their questions live.
Was it joining the dots?
Yeah, exactly. Connecting the dots. Yeah. Most of the offices and agents that go through the training, once they do some valuations, they're doing at least 4 of those valuations during the process. And we're pulling those up on the screen side by side with the key. So they're seeing, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I could have done this. They really get an opportunity to see how other people are thinking. They learn from each other's mistakes, but also from the successes of how they went about maybe writing up an overview that's going to go online. We really take them through the entire process. So they're writing a listing agreement. They're actually writing up advertisements. They're writing up a purchase agreement. They're doing the valuations.
It's not the 20,000 foot level. It's a ground level.
Yeah, you're actually in it and doing it. So when you actually go out in the field, or you have agents going out in the field, you already know that they have the foundation. They're able to fill in a listing kit. They're able to do a valuation. And if they have questions, they can go to you as the owner, or to franchise support. And I feel like that's the biggest difference is we are there with you throughout the process. We have a deal structure specialist that helps. We have a team that works in listing coordination who's uploading all of your listings to all of the appropriate websites. We're like an administrative team behind you. So even though you're owning your own franchise, you're in it with us, right? So that's part of what we're putting together as a company is a team. And how many companies train your agents for you?
And
Take them from A to Z.
That is so key because it is true. A lot of other brokerages, when you purchase their franchise, when you bring on a listing, you're creating the entire listing package. This stuff takes you away from shaking hands and negotiating deals. And there's so much that corporate does for us. I mean, I just send it in and admin takes care of it for me. And that's so undervalued until you get involved in a competitor and say, wow, I wish I was able to answer the phone right now for this $10 million listing, but I'm working on the marketing for something else. So I think that really frees up the time, and time is money in this industry. That is so key.
I believe, Randall, your final question was, what's the next step?
What are the next steps? And again, perfect segue. So I can even handle that one, believe it or not. We've gone over time a little bit, and I want to be respectful of those that have chosen to visit with us today and our panelists, Brandon, Grant, and Melissa's here. Mo and Andrea, of course, the Nymans are here. So I'm going to kind of cut to the ending, if you will. We are going to just share a simple slide. And what's going to happen here is we are going to allow you to take the next step by working directly with Melissa Salyer, who is our EVP of Franchise Development. Many of you have probably already had interactions with her. She is the best in the business, probably the best in the country overall. We can supply a link to you. We're going to do so with email. And the key is to really get on her calendar, right? Because she can answer any questions moving forward. She can bring any of us into that conversation as she sees fit, be it the Nymans or myself or any other franchisees. We have people who are happy, other franchisees happy to do validation calls. But one of the real keys here is to know that November 7th is the next live training. And to that end, again, thank you all. We will distribute this information by email to all of you who have visited with us. Unless anyone else has a final word, Linda, Jeff, we'll call it a day and hope to see many of these folks in our company as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for taking your time to be with us today. We really do appreciate it. And we hope that what we talked about today just gives a little food for thought to see if it's even, warrants further investigation. Melissa really is great. She's not somebody that's going to force someone into business brokerage. It's determining if it's right for you. Only you know that. Learning as much as you can about the business. You can talk with franchisees, and of course, we're happy to have discussions as well. Melissa sets all of that up, and she does a great job.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you all, and talk to you all soon. Bye now.